Coming up on WFT Midday, a deadly crash was reported on I-75. 6 people were in the vehicle. An ongoing investigation is underway.
And the government shutdown is looming over legislators' heads. What they are doing to get ahead of this and what effect it could have.
After a rough day on Wall Street with investors selling off stocks, fears a Trump trade war could tip the country into a recession. WFT Midday starts now.
Watching WUFT Midday.
Wall Street is grappling with President Trump's chaotic trade actions against allies and adversaries. Monday was the worst day for the U.S. market so far this year, with more Trump tariffs set to go into effect. This is WFT Midday. I'm Isabela Reinoso.
And I'm Maddox Forman. And as NBC's Alice Barr reports, the White House insists the pain will be worth it.
After a rough day on Wall Street with investors selling off stocks over fears a Trump trade war could tip the country into a recession, the White House downplaying what it called the animal spirits of the stock market, putting out a list of 50 wins in 50 days and pointing to business leaders' support. That as President Trump on Sunday did not rule out a recession this year.
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition.
Later adding,
we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich.
After the president hit top trading partners with new tariffs, China striking back with its own tariffs on U.S. agriculture products, everything from chicken, wheat, and corn to soybeans.
You're going to have a lot of farms that go out of business and aren't able to continue on the current trajectory.
Canada issuing retaliatory tariffs, and now the province of Ontario hiking electric rates for 1.5 million Americans who rely on Canadian power exports.
If the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers sparring over the Trump administration's policies.
Donald Trump and House Republicans are crashing the economy and hurting hard-working American families.
I believe that the policies that we're putting forth are going to improve the economy and bring down costs for people. It takes a little while.
That as lawmakers work to pass a funding bill by Friday to prevent a government shutdown that would only add to economic uncertainty. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
New at noon, the USDA has just canceled more than $1 billion in local food purchasing for schools and food banks. The money went to a pair of programs through Local Food for Schools cooperative agreement that gave them the money to buy foods from local farms and ranchers. Less than 2 hours ago, it was announced by the School Nutrition Association that this year's program was canceled. The move is part of the aggressive efforts by the Trump administration to shrink the federal government and how much money it spends.
High-stakes talks are going on in Saudi Arabia, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are meeting with Ukrainian officials. Ahead of the meeting, Rubio said he wants to hear what concessions Ukraine will be willing to make in negotiations to end the war with Russia. The discussion comes as the relationship between Washington and Kyiv is at its lowest point since Russia launched its invasion 3 years ago. The U.S. is currently halting military support from Ukraine, and Russia appears to be regaining territory in the country. Ukraine President Zelensky met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Monday, but was not planning to stay for the U.S.-Ukraine talks. Ukraine targeted Moscow early today in what authorities say was its largest drone attack on the Russian capital. The attack killed at least one person, sparked fires, and suspended air and train transport. According to Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, at least 69 drones were destroyed that approached the city in several waves. At least 7 apartments were damaged, and residents were forced to evacuate from a multi-story building in the Ramenskoye district, about 31 miles southeast of the Kremlin. The strikes comes as the U.S. and Ukrainian teams are due to meet for peace talks in Saudi Arabia.
The federal government only has enough funding to stay open until about 11:59 Eastern Time Friday night before it shuts down. A shutdown could have forced essential government employees to work without pay and furlough others. To prevent that, House Republicans want to vote on a spending plan as early as today. Amy Hayli reports passing it could come down to a single vote.
The CR will pass.
The House could vote today on a continuing resolution to keep the government open past Friday's deadline. The GOP bill provides funding through the end of the fiscal year. It cuts about $13 billion in domestic spending, and it adds money for defense and for immigration and customs enforcement.
No one wants to shut the government down, and we are governing, doing the responsible thing as Republicans.
House Democrats say they'll be united in opposing the plan. They're pushing their own CR that does not include the Republican cuts.
And nobody wants the government to shut down. It's harmful to the people we represent. But at the same time, they need to come back to the table and do something reasonable.
Without Democrats, Johnson could only lose one Republican vote. Representative Thomas Massey says he opposes the GOP plan. A few other House Republicans appear to be up in the air.
I would like us to go back to pre-COVID level spendings, but I realize that we don't have the guts to do that either.
A source says Vice President J.D. Vance is meeting with House Republicans this morning to advocate for the bill. Johnson says President Donald Trump has been speaking with members too. If the House does pass the CR, getting it through the Senate could be even harder. That would require Democratic support.
It's going to be up to Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats to do the right thing.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The stormy weather Monday has moved out and the sunshine has taken over.
UF forecaster Jadyn Bottini joins us live in the weather studio, tracking the rising temperatures and what you can expect for the rest of your work week.
That's right. We had a very rainy weekend and stormy start to our week, but lucky for us, skies are clearing up and our temperatures are going to begin increasing. Here's that system we saw over us yesterday. It's pushed off the East Coast by now. We saw some severe winds and heavy rain with this, even a couple of tornadoes in Florida. So it was a big weather event for us, but it just left us with some high wind gusts, 12 miles per hour gusts in Gainesville, 17 in Ocala, a little bit more towards the Gulf Coast, 15 miles per hour in Cedar Key, and 20 in Crystal River. Looking at campus right now, skies are beautiful, pretty clear out there, 66 degrees, winds about 7 miles per hour from the north. Our temperatures today, 66 in Gainesville, 69 in Ocala, 66 in the Villages, 63 in Jacksonville, warming up to the mid-70s this afternoon. Coming up, we're going to take a look at this weekend's rainfall totals, our warm trend continuing, and another rainy weekend ahead.
New at noon, the Florida Highway Patrol is working to learn what caused the rollover crash that killed one person and shut down parts of I-75 in Alachua County. The crash happened near the Wilston Road exit Monday evening. The driver of the car was pronounced dead on scene. A 33-year-old woman and 6-year-old were critically hurt. Troopers say there was a total of 6 people in the SUV when it flipped. According to the report, 3 other children in the vehicle were not badly hurt.
Gun violence prevention remains a top priority across Alachua County, and a new initiative from commissioners aims to keep children safe. And as WFT's Hayli Balgobin reports, this comes not long after the arrest of an armed robber who shot permanently paralyzed a high school student in Oaksmall just a few weeks ago.
Alachua County, the city of Gainesville, and Santa Fe College are on a mission to solve what commissioners refer to as a public health crisis: gun violence. According to the Gainesville Police Department, from January to November 2024, there were 7 homicide victims, showing a decrease in gun violence from previous years. 38 people were shot or injured. There were 123 reports of stolen firearms. Officials want those numbers at 0. The Children's Trust of Alachua County granted $500,000 to Alachua County and the city of Gainesville to pursue gun violence prevention activities. Half of the funds dedicated to grant-funded projects focus on gun violence prevention for youth. Additionally, it implements 2 youth steering committees to engage youth on important topics. Initiatives established months ago aimed at keeping youth in your area safe.
That was Hayli Balgobin reporting. The Alachua County Commission's board holds their meeting to approve the agreement today. If passed, the gun violence prevention activities will be enacted.
A major settlement could help crack down on the youth vaping epidemic in Florida. Florida Attorney General James Upmeyer announced a $79 million agreement with Juul Labs, accusing the company of targeting teens. The settlement comes at a time where students across the state, including in Alachua County, are vaping in high numbers. The case alleged that Juul created technology-focused vaping device that could easily be hidden from parents by their children. According to the Florida Youth Tobacco Survey, 1 in 4 children in Alachua County have at least tried to smoke. That number is higher than the 20% average for the state. And back in 2023, WFT reported that the county was also above state average. Juul has faced backlash for years, with leaders answering to Congress about accusations that they marketed their product towards children.
As a dad with little kids, it's still not good enough. So we're going to continue to fight back against this, this harmful advertising and ways to attract our kids.
As part of the agreement, Juul cannot target minors and must follow new restrictions, including no models under 35 in ads, no cartoon or brand names, no product placement in TV or movies, and no billboard advertising. The Attorney General says their work to combat vaping is far from over.
Now let's take a look at our traffic during this lunch hour over our DOT camera. I-75's traffic is moving nice and smooth with beautiful clear skies over Paynes Prairie. WFT's Jadyn Bottini is back to tell us more about the upcoming weather this week.
Right, skies are looking clear right now and our temperatures are increasing after a stormy and rainy weekend. Right now on campus, skies looking beautiful, lots of blue out there, 66 degrees, winds about 7 miles per hour from the north. Our system that pushed over us yesterday is off the east coast right now. We experienced some heavy rain and severe wind, even some tornadoes touched down in Florida from this storm, but it left us with some heavy wind gusts. We're dying down right now, 12 miles per hour in Gainesville, 10 in Ocala, 8 in the Villages, a little bit higher gusts towards the Gulf Coast, 16 in Cedar Key and 19 in Crystal River. Our rainfall totals from this weekend since Friday, a little bit over an inch in Gainesville, a little bit less towards the south, almost 1 inch in Williston. Towards the Panhandle, they got over 4 inches in Tallahassee, almost 4 in Perry, close to 6 inches in Mayo. So there was a lot of rain from this system that tracked over us this weekend. Our temperatures right now, 67 in Gainesville, 69 in Ocala, 70 in the Villages, 68 in Crystal River. We're warming up to the mid-70s this afternoon. 6 p.m. we'll be at 74. By 10 p.m. we'll be at 56, 53 by midnight, and overnight tonight we're down into the 40s. But tomorrow we'll warm up again, even a little bit more than today. 79 in Gainesville tomorrow, 80 in Ocala, 80 in the Villages. So finally hitting that 80-degree mark tomorrow in some locations. Our next system is this system in the Midwest. It's a low pressure system near Oklahoma and Kansas. It's going to track towards us. We're most likely not going to see any rain from this, just some clouds. But let's take a look at it. Here's that rain right just north of Louisiana. It's going to track into the Panhandle Thursday afternoon, and as it heads our way Thursday night into Friday, it kind of dies out. We see no more precipitation. We're just left with some clouds there. So again, no precipitation we're looking for this week from that storm, just some clouds over us. This weekend, high of 86 on Saturday. On Sunday, high of 80 we're expecting some more showers and thunderstorms on Sunday, once again as another front tracks over us and possibly some showers lingering into Monday. Into next week, tomorrow, high of 79, a low of 46. We're expecting some morning fog on Thursday, high of 76. Into this weekend, we're up to 86 degrees on Saturday, a rainy and stormy Sunday, and cooling back down into the low 70s next week.
Now let's head over to our Noticias partners for a look at today's top stories for a Spanish language audience.
Hola, soy María Rodríguez con tus noticias en 90 segundos. La policía de Florida arrestó a un estudiante luego de un video amenazante sobre disparar a una escuela. El Departamento de Policía de Sanford dijo que recibió una denuncia anónima el sábado pasado de un video de un pistolero amenazando con disparar el Seminole High School. El video mostraba al adolescente con varias armas, chalecos y otros elementos de preocupación. La investigación condujo al arresto del sospechoso de 17 años en su casa. El adolescente fue acusado de intimidación, amenaza escrita y electrónica de tiroteo masivo o terrorismo. La Superintendencia de las Escuelas Públicas del Condado de Seminole expresó su gratitud ya que la situación fue tratada seriamente. Una estudiante de la Universidad de Pittsburgh desaparece en República Dominicana. Sudiksha Konanki, una estudiante de 20 años, desapareció el 6 de marzo durante sus vacaciones en Punta Cana. Konanki fue vista por última vez en la madrugada en la playa del Hotel Rio República junto a un amigo, quien posteriormente fue interrogado por las autoridades. La policía dominicana sugiere que la desaparición fue un accidente. Sin embargo, la familia de Sudiksha sospecha que pudiera ser un secuestro. En respuesta a la desaparición, el FBI se unió a la investigación colaborando con las autoridades dominicanas, las cuales continúan con una búsqueda intensiva. Ecuador dejará de acoger migrantes extranjeros deportados. Daniel Noboa, el presidente de Ecuador, notificó su decisión de no permitir la entrada de migrantes extranjeros deportados al país después de que el presidente Nicolás Maduro anunció públicamente que los vuelos para recibir a sus migrantes venezolanos han sido afectados. Maduro hizo este comunicado como una represalia debido a la decisión de Estados Unidos a revocar la licencia de Chevron, una de las compañías petroleras más grandes en Venezuela. Esas fueron tus noticias en 90 segundos. Gracias por sintonizarnos.
It's National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and experts say more young adults are being diagnosed with this disease worldwide. And as Mandy Gaither reports, a recent study finds 3 main factors are increasing the risk of disease.
It's a troubling trend. New cases of colorectal cancer in people under age 50 have been rising at an alarming rate over the past several decades, and by 2030, it's expected to become the leading cancer-related cause of death for people ages 20 to 49.
We've always thought of colorectal cancer as a disease that mostly affects older people, and over the last couple of decades, we've seen the age for colorectal cancer go down.
Dr. David Liska with Cleveland Clinic says it's still not clear why, but says 3 main factors can increase a person's risk of developing colorectal cancer: having a sedentary lifestyle, having obesity, and eating a diet high in red or processed meats.
I also have plenty of patients, unfortunately, with colorectal cancer who are young and healthy and fit and don't smoke and don't drink and eat a healthy diet and still get colorectal cancer. So while we know some of the risk factors, we don't know all of them.
Liska says everyone should be aware of the 4 signs more commonly reported in people who develop colorectal cancer: abdominal pain, rectal bleeding, diarrhea, and iron deficiency anemia.
One of the important things to realize is that colorectal cancer is very treatable, and if caught early, it's in most cases curable.
The best way to detect and prevent colorectal cancer is screening. It's recommended for everyone at average risk, beginning at age 45.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. Flyers say one of the best things Southwest Airlines has going for it is free check bags, but that's coming to an end. The air carrier is scraping its most recognizable perk just months after ditching its open seating policy. On Tuesday, the company announced it will start charging for flyers' first and second check bag beginning on May 28th. However, members of Southwest A-List loyalty program or those traveling on a business fare will be exempt from the fees. The development comes amid calls for leadership changes and an operations overhaul to boost profitability.
Sticking with airlines, Delta has slashed its earnings forecast for their first quarter. The carrier in a Monday filing said it's expected lower demand for domestic travel amid customers' growing worries about the economy. Delta now expects quarterly revenue to rise between 3 to 4% from a year ago. That's down from its earlier estimate of 7 to 9%. The company's stock went down roughly 13% in after-hours trading on Monday. It dropped on Wall Street's worst day this year.
The social media platform X was hit by outages on Monday. According to outage tracking site Down Detector, the problems began around 6 a.m. Eastern Time when about 20,000 users reported problems. The issues temporarily died down before nearly 40,000 users reported outages about 4 hours later. The outage appeared to be global, with many users on Down Detector saying the app wouldn't load. Ex-owner Elon Musk claimed the platform was hit by a massive cyber attack.
Now let's get over to WFT's First at 5 anchor Bailey Cornick with a look at what's coming up at First at 5 on Channel 5.
Later today on First at 5, Alachua County's NAACP met to discuss economic goals in East Gainesville. The world-famous Budweiser Clydesdales are in North Central Florida. They're in Live Oak today and will visit Ocala tomorrow. We look into the economic impact these popular horses bring to these communities, plus the details behind the sudden resignation announcement of the Marion County School Superintendent. And we look at a home dedication ceremony made possible with Alachua Habitat for Humanity. Stick around for all of this and more at 5.
Before we go, one last check on the weather.
We're continuing our warm-up trend this week. High of 79, low of 46 tomorrow. On Thursday, we can expect some fog in the morning. This weekend, we're warming up to 86 degrees on Saturday, expecting showers and thunderstorms on Sunday, cooling back down to the low 70s next week.
Thanks for joining us for WFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition.
We will see you later today for First at 5 on Channel 5. Have a great afternoon.